The moment you feel totally ready will probably never come, and that's okay. Hello and welcome to the Daily Spark. I'm Chad Brocato, and today's message is for anyone who's waiting for more clarity, more credentials, or more confidence before making a move. Here's the truth. If you're waiting to feel ready, you may be waiting forever. Let's rewind to 1961. A young President, John F. Kennedy, stood before Congress and boldly declared that the United States would land a man on the moon and return him safely to Earth before the decade ended. That's a pretty bold claim. Think about it. NASA hadn't even put a human into orbit yet. There were no blueprints, no timelines, no budget, but they started anyway. Why? Because leadership isn't about waiting for certainty, it's about declaring direction. And then sometimes you have to figure it out along the way. You're not always going to have all of the answers. There's an old saying that it's better to start messy than to never start at all. In this case, for JFK, he had to have vision. He had to be able to take risk. He had to have courage. And most of all, it took motion to get things going. 8 years later, in 1969, Neil Armstrong took that giant leap for mankind. But it all began with one bold statement and zero guarantees. That's how momentum works. You don't need to have every angle covered before you begin. You just need to take the first step. And that applies to everything. Starting a business, writing a book, changing careers, having a hard conversation, speaking up in a meeting. It's unlikely that you'll ever feel totally ready. Why? Because growth always lives outside of your comfort zone. Readiness isn't a prerequisite, it's a result. Let me give you a quick example from my own life. First time I stood up to speak to a large group as a leadership coach, I had rehearsed. I had my notes, but right before I stepped on stage, I thought, what am I doing here? But the moment I started, the clarity came, the energy came, the room responded, because the motion creates momentum. I learned from that lesson. You've got to start. You've got to hit some ground balls if you want to use a baseball analogy. You have to have the ability to say, okay, I might not be perfect. That's okay. Guess what? Everyone in the audience is also imperfect. Another analogy I like to use is many people want to put the Ferrari out the door and go start right away. But maybe in the place that you're at, you need to first just put wheels on the road. Maybe it's okay to just start out with a Ford. Maybe it's okay to start out with a Chevrolet. You don't need to go to the most expensive, the best of the best of the best immediately. Very often we are better off getting motion going and then to continue moving forward, building upon that first bit of motion. Here's a prompt. What have you been postponing because you didn't feel ready? What's one action, just one, you could take to start moving forward today? Here's your daily spark. Stop waiting to feel ready. Start messy, start uncertain, start scared if you have to, but start. Action creates clarity, and the future favors the bold. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow for another episode of the Daily Spark. Until then, I truly wish you well.